No, 100%. So stop me from buying the shares tomorrow, hand over fist. We've had a 6,300% return since IPO, which is, 5x the S&P,
There's
5x.
some support on the longer term outperformance chart. If you
Somewhere.
like that type of
Yeah.
technical analysis.
Yeah, right, right. We're halfway between. So it hasn't even
Yeah.
given up nearly as much of its we're halfway
Yeah.
between its PWL and its COVID lows. And really that COVID lows number could be brought up if once you look at these are monthly, sorry. If we look at a weekly, you could really, yeah. I mean, if we look at so that's where we're sitting. We're closer to the PWL than the COVID low. We've got a nice dividend, but not as healthy as EQR, 2.5% or so. Appears to be well covered. What do
For
you
the better
yeah,
half of this decade and a half, these secular growth stories, ELS is a company that always, always, always looked like it was way too expensive than it should have been. It was like a realty income.
yeah,
But it always maintained its premium because it had a premium cost of capital advantage. It would buy existing sites from the private market that didn't have access to institutional capital and institutional operations expertise. And the accretion, right? If you're trading at this company would trade at like a 4% implied cap rate, sometimes at a premium to multifamily housing, which again, intellectually seems counterintuitive.
right,
How could this beautiful building that's worth $50 million in Atlanta be worth less than this trailer park on a cap rate basis? But the company as a whole had such a premium cost of capital advantage that they were able to expand very accretively.
yeah,
And also, when you're buying a 12 cap, you're buying a 12 cap with non refined operating margins. So not only was there cost of capital upside from the tuck-in transaction, there was operating upside. And
right.
sometimes the operating upside was tremendous. If you could negotiate with the local utility company, if you could do a couple things and kick people out, and it has some hair in it, but there was a while where the PE guys are also looking at the trailer park space too. But the
Mhm.
problem with them was they could never aggregate enough properties to make it worthwhile. Because again, not that they weren't financeable, but you couldn't deploy. You can't. People don't want to develop trailer parks. It's a very much a NIMBY issue. So what happens is the existing parks tend to grow, but you don't tend to get permits for, no one's cutting down a forest to build a manufactured housing site or an RV site. Um, it's difficult. So it has natural supply constraints. It has public-private operational and cost of capital arbitrage, and that's where a superior public operator can come in and clean up.
Right. So what I heard you say are a big component of their success is being cost of capital and economies of scale. They still have the economies of scale, but the cost of capital is, of course, back to the whole theme here in question. Um, Cost of capital go lower, ELS probably is a phenomenal way to play. It's almost like a scarcity of land play. I mean,
Yeah,
in some
yeah,
ways.
it's a scarcity of land. It's a demographic play.
Yeah.
Um, I don't ex I don't ever expect the public companies to trade at a discount to quote unquote NAV, right? Because there's
Mhm.
such a difference between the public structure and the non-public structure. But clearly, if you follow the company, you'll hear, quarter after quarter, what does the acquisition market look like? So you can tell when there are periods of cap rate compression from levered PE buyers that are
Mhm.
willing to put up their own 80% financing and try to buy something and turn it around versus periods where the demand for the product goes dry.
Right.
And one of the reasons why they got into marinas was because there wasn't enough,
Right.
acquisition potential. And if you think about the concept of a marina, it's like you get a wealthy land, boat owner who's pretty price insensitive that needs a place to park, and there's not many of them in the country. That, there's not a lot of new development, so it's got a lot of those properties.